might like say, I might like say, make a comment at the end of each segment, like if it was bad or whatever. But I'll go all over to you.
Hello, guys.
Hey, what's up, Golden?
Not much.
How's it going, Downtime Dev?
Yo, what's up, Ineb?
Downtime Dizzle.
Here we go. I knew this would be trouble.
When do you want us to start streaming? Now?
Yeah, you should go ahead and go live.
Okay.
Okay.
Also, Nick, I can hear the game coming through on your mumble.
That's just Jordan. I'm on push to talk, so
okay.
That'll be gone when I'm running.
Okay.
I'll turn that down now.
I got ahead of myself there. That was SMRPG. There we go. That is Link to the Past.
I mean, this could be an Oxwas versus Millennium Race too. That might be a little more entertaining.
Alright, I should... Well, it says I'm streaming. Should be on the right channel.
Alright.
I've gone to JRTA2, I believe, is what's set.
You're on 2? Alright. Are you streaming the mumble as well, or just the game audio?
Just the game audio.
Yeah, I'm doing game audio as well.
You're both just doing game audio?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes life...
That makes it easier for you, doesn't it?
Really
I'm
easy,
on my
yeah.
laptop.
Yeah, that's fine, that's no problem for us.
Nick, you said you're on 2, right?
I'm on 2, yeah.
Okay. Just making sure I get the screen region in the right spot. And I don't want you guys having the wrong game feed under the wrong name. Unless you want to make mistakes for each other.
Yeah, no, I don't want Bluntbunny stream. No way.
Please do.
Alright, we have another $5 donation from Bass Guitar Bill. LTTP file name equals lunk. Unfortunately, that ranks 3rd among the file names currently.
Oh, what else got in there?
We have Nugs with $10 and Raw Roll Deep with 502.
Okay.
So,
Which one do you want, Kev?
What are the options?
Nugs and Raw Roll Deep on the 3 files.
Raw, roll deep. Oh, you can roll deep, Blunt. You roll deep. You roll deeper than me.
Well, now hold on. We're still setting up. You never know.
We did just get a $25 donation from Ramses88 again, but it's for the DQ3 file name, Chinko. Thank you very much, Ramses and Bass Guitar Bill.
You can just leave it at I am shit if you want.
Don't talk about me like that. Fun fact, I dropped from this race because I didn't want to spend a week grinding no major glitches to get back to good gameplay.
You just didn't want to get your hand asked to you by us.
Oh, please. Please.
Your hand asked? Did I just say your hand asked? Oh my god, I'm so tired.
You can hand my ass to me if you'd like, or ass your hand to me.
You know what we call that, though, when he's dodging the race like that?
Well,
We call that dodging the race. Actually,
I should just hand my ass back down.
to be fair, I think Andy wanted to race, but I didn't let him because I'm mean.
Yeah. Well, I said I would be up to race 100% if that got met, but it didn't get met.
Yeah, we're kind of glad that we're not doing 100 because this is going to be a fairer race because no RNG games.
God, I was so excited to talk about 100% too. You have no idea.
All right, so what are the winning file names here? It is time to decide.
Yeah, we've got Scooch on commentary as well in the waiting thing. He's going to be doing commentary for us.
We got $6 more from Bass Guitar Bill that says lunk, 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 lunk.
So if we add it all up using our JRTA2 math skills,
that puts Lunk in the lead with $11 and Nugs in second place with $10. So see you later, Raw Roll Deep.
Oh no.
I'll just do Nugs then.
So yeah, one of you picks Lunk. The other gets
Lunk.
Nugs.
Like
Lunk.
L-U-N-K?
L-U-N-K.
Okay.
The donation name that plagued many a GDQ.
It just can't go away.
Yeah, so Super Scooch, who's in the waiting channel, he's going to be doing a commentary for us.
We need to get him in here.
If I can... Oh, you want to pull one more in for the commentary? Sorry.
Yeah.
Do that. Bring him in here. Hello?
There we go.
It's
Scooge.
my buddy Scooge.
There he is.
Hey guys.
Welcome aboard.
We got the two reverse boss of gods. Giving us
Dude,
commentary here.
if Scooge had offered RBO, maybe we could have had a bidding war for what who raced.
Chat, can I just get a confirmation that you guys have a good audio balance? You can hear the game, you can hear everybody in the call. All right, they say it's
We're getting
good.
sounds good.
All right, are you two ready to play?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Just
Alright.
1 sec.
Ready as I'll ever be.
Nicholas has to be the new T1 since he doesn't play anymore.
There you go. So one thing I want to point out before this run starts, just to kind of motivate you guys in the chat to donate, one of the big incentives we have coming up a little bit later this afternoon is Super Mario RPG. Oxwis is going to wear a maid outfit if we receive $1,000 in donations towards that maid cam. Currently, we are sitting at a little over $380. So we still need about $620 to meet that incentive. And not only will you get it for Super Mario RPG, which is a 3-hour game, but if you meet the incentive, you'll also get it for Dark Witch, which he's playing later this evening too. So hopefully that motivates you.
Double the maid cam.
Double
Just
the
think
maid
about
cam. You still have 2 opportunities. So if you're looking for
Also-
something to donate towards, put your money towards that.
it. Don't forget that if you donate $10 or more during this segment, you get the chance to win a Link to the Past Japanese 1.0 cart.
You can be a speedrunner too.
And hate your life.
So actually, if you think about it, if you think about it, you get kind of 2 things for your money here. If you donate $10 or more during this game, you'll be entered to win the Link to the Past cart. But then you could also put that donation towards the maid cam. So you're getting
That's
bang
like-
for your buck,
It's like
That's a good deal.
killing 2 birds with 1 stone.
and you're doing the Japanese runners a favor and helping them get to HDQ. So all right, I'm gonna cut my spiel there
All right, yeah, I'm ready.
and let you guys play some Link to the Past here.
All right.
Good
All
luck,
right.
boys.
Want me to count it down?
Yeah, go for it.
All right,
Good luck.
gentlemen. This is an international race here. Europe and the U.S. I guess North America. I should probably, if I'm going to pick a continent for one, I should say continent for the other. Just the U.S. versus all of Europe.
versus the
Yeah.
US.
I'm the whole of Europe. in
Yeah,
one
that's
person.
exactly. You got a lot on your shoulders. All right. Anyway, we got Nick and Bluntbunny here, and we'll start the race in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Oh, I should look at the not Twitch stream for these, huh?
There's a lot of national pride in the chat right now. This is a very intense race.
Yeah, these are 2 of the best, most active players we have right now. So it should be a very good race. All right, so you want me to start talking about the game?
If you want to.
All right, well, this first section of the game is what we refer to as Escape. This is the part where we rescue Princess Zelda and bring her to the sanctuary, which seems like a very good idea to leave her with a frail old man while we save the world. During this part, most of the optimization comes from movement. There are a few fancy strats and a lot of really small RNG factors that are going to come into play. Movement and good reaction to RNG are kind of like invisible optimizations. You can't really see a lot of the time gain and loss from them, but that's going to be a huge part of it during the first 2 dungeons.
Yeah, there's not too much you can do movement optimization wise early game until you get the boots. Then it gets a little more fun and fast paced.
Yeah, a lot of it's just try not to bump into corners, try to enter doors as centered as you can.
And
of
killing
course,
things quickly.
Yeah. And of course, a mechanic called pumping, which allows us to reset the movement pattern of Link's movement to potentially gain 1 pixel.
Saves a handful of seconds throughout the run.
Yeah, if you do it very well throughout the whole run, you can get a handful of seconds out of it. It's most significant, obviously, before you have boots, since it refers specifically to walking movement.
Yeah, there's not really an easy way to explain it without like it being overly complicated. But
Yeah,
basically
explanations.
the way Link's walking animation works, it alternates from 2 pixels per frame to 1 pixel per frame. So in the directions north and west are the directions that starts the movement animation with the 2 pixels per frame. So if you reset the animation while you're walking in those directions, you can reset it so that optimally you'd be walking 2 pixels per frame every frame. But
Right. It would take 30 inputs per second to be optimal. So basically, as fast as you can mash, each time that you mash, you have about a 50% chance of gaining 1 pixel.
we have 2 new donations. We have $10 from Cowboy Shadow 88 that says Maid Cam. And we also have $10 from Duckfist. It says put this towards the Maid Cam for Oxbo's Chan. Thumbs up. Thank you both very much for your donations.
And with that, we are over $400 for the maid cam. We need a little under 600 now.
$593.99. Let's get it, boys.
Like Bluntbunny is getting knocked around a little bit by all these guards.
Yeah, so guard RNG, or enemy RNG in general, plays a pretty big factor in this run. Bad RNG won't necessarily lose you a huge chunk of time, but if you get bad RNG throughout the whole run, you can lose a pretty big chunk. There's no big enemy loss. There's no big enemy loss from just one enemy usually.
Right. The biggest time loss from any individual enemy's RNG can't be more than probably a second or 2. Key Rat maybe would be one of the most significant ones, and that's coming up. But there's a lot of small stuff. There's actually a ton of RNG in this game, but it's mostly reactionable. And one of the strongest skills you can have is mitigating damage from bad RNG and also capitalizing on good RNG. This part here in the sewers with all the rats and snakes really shows that off a lot. They will be coming up to the key rat soon, which is pretty much what it sounds like. It's a rat that you kill to get a key. It can move in a lot of different directions. If it moves into the top left of the room, that's considered the bad RNG.
It's good to note that the starting points of the enemies are all static,
Yeah.
but where they initially move is random.
Yeah. Okay, looks like Blanc got northwest. He handled it well. About as well as he can. Sometimes enemy starting movement is fixed as well, depending on the enemy.
Wow, that was a really nice key grab by Blunt. Holy moly.
Yeah, I wouldn't have tried that. There's a good chance that Boomerang was going to miss. Alright, that wasn't really bad from either of them. They did tell me before the race started that they both are going to get the Sanctuary Heart.
Wow. It's a good thing your final names weren't raw roll deep.
Can we just reject this while it's going on? This is some Christos Owen tier gameplay right here.
Alright, so the Sanctuary Heart's the first optional safety of the game, really. It gives you an extra heart container right at the beginning. It takes about 3 seconds to get, so it's not horrible, and it offers pretty good safety, but the most important thing is that it does not roll deep.
RPG The Godfather would not approve.
Wow.
No, I have no objection to getting the Sanctuary Heart.
I
Personally.
do, I'm sorry.
Alright, so
only
they're coming
run-
up on Eastern Palace, the first real dungeon of the game. There's a couple NPCs you can talk to that'll guide you towards this, but it's not really necessary for the sequencing of the game, so they can go straight to the dungeon.
Somehow I never tried that when I was a kid. I always figured I had to talk to the people. I
think I was just did. Just follow the map markers.
Yeah, I never just tried to go to the dungeon even though I knew where to go.
Yeah. Alright, again, without boots, there's going to be a lot of walking-based optimizations. There's less RNG, I'd say, in this dungeon in general. There's a few that are relevant, but not too significant. More on the overworld, actually, than inside the dungeon. But there are a few more harder strats. And of course, we get to see our first boss quick kill here. This is also where they're going to try to pick up rupee drops if they can. There's a lot of enemies here that have a good chance to drop rupees, and they want to have a minimum of 14 for the rupee route. Not necessarily 14 by the end of this dungeon, but if they can get all of them in this dungeon, that'll be really nice. Because a lot of the kills are automatic. They don't really have to go out of their way at all.
Yeah, if they don't get 14 from this dungeon, the only other dungeon they really get drops in is Desert, and those are usually never right in your path.
Okay. Alright, in that room they killed Stalfos before they spawned. What happens there is when you walk to a specific point in the room, the four Stalfos try to spawn north, south, east, and west of you. But if you trigger them in a specific place, the north one tries to spawn on top of the wall, and the south one tries to spawn on top of the pot. So those two can't spawn. And their hitboxes are active before they visually spawn, so you can kill them before you can see them. So they spawn two of them and then kill them before they even appear to be spawned. And it looks really fancy.
Even though the top one doesn't physically spawn, its hitbox is actually still there. So if you throw the pot the wrong direction, you still kill a skeleton that's in the wall. That's pretty cool.
That's actually true with the top and the bottom one. You could, if you throw up or down first, you'll actually have to kill 3 total.
I don't know if I've ever thrown down and seen that before.
Alright, they're coming up on the big key skip, which is sort of misnamed because you don't actually skip the big key. But this is a damage boost. Normally you'd have to kill all the enemies in this room to cause the anti-fairy circle to disperse. Instead, they do a damage boost off of the popo, walk into the anti-fairies, pick up the pot, and step on the switch whilst invulnerable.
And sometimes, if you're lucky with some ridiculous frame roll, you can make it off of the switch without taking damage somehow.
Yeah, I've even tried to do that in a Taz and not been able to do it, but I've seen it in real time.
I've seen it 3 times maybe. Once was me, and then I just like stood there because I didn't know what happened, so I lost time anyways.
Nice.
So coming up is probably the only real RNG room in this dungeon, which we like to call the Zelda Gamer Room.
Right. Affectionately named.
With the 2 skeletons and the red Igor. They both start in those positions walking right, but then where they stop and which way they turn is random. So you have to be pretty on your toes to react to different RNGs you can get.
Yeah, for sure. Alright, this boss quick kill is pretty straightforward. Normally when you kill 5 out of 6 of them, the 6th one will aggro. He'll turn red and re-heal. So it'll take more hits to kill him that way. So the idea is to damage the one that you intend to kill last first, so that after you kill all the other ones, he only requires 1 extra arrow to kill. Both of them did the same strat and did it well. There's actually been a lot of strats for this fight over the years. Probably too many to count even, but they all have the same fundamental idea.
The difference between the easiest and the hardest strat in terms of time save is probably less than a second.
Yeah.
And
the difficulty difference is massive.
Yes. Unfortunately, none of them did the Yuzu strat, which not rolling deep, I'm sorry.
This is where we get boots, so they can actually start going fast. It's also going to be the first application of a movement glitch called Super Speed. This is a glitch exclusive to the Japanese 1.0 version. You can see Nicholas doing it now. He seems to be walking at dash speed. This is a trick where you actually lock your dash counter, which is normally just a byte that counts down in memory. You lock it at the top of the countdown by starting the dash on a frame when you shouldn't be able to, which is the frame right before the spin starts. And because the spin starts the frame later, the countdown never counts down, but it also doesn't know to cancel. And then the game interprets you moving from stairs to normal ground. It tries to change your movement speed from dashing on stairs to dashing on normal ground. Doesn't work with any other terrain changes. For some reason it happens with stairs. And lets you walk at dash speed.
I'd assume that's because dash stair speed and walk stair speed is the same.
Yeah, something like that.
And so it doesn't recognize
recognizes
the difference.
transition. Yeah.
Yeah. So here we're getting the book. You need to use it twice in the whole run. It's pretty great.
You can use it more often if you prefer to, randomly in the dungeon.
I am an advocate of that. I may or may not have said that it actually saves time in my tutorial because I wanted more people to book spam in the dungeon. But we'll keep that between you and me.
Right. Alright, this next dungeon is called Desert Palace. The main dungeon in this one is pretty simple and straightforward. It's a great time to acclimate yourself to dash movement because it's just a lot of relatively simple dash-based movement, and then it has one of the boss fights with probably the most difficult RNG to handle in the whole game. So that's fun.
Yeah, this dungeon's really good for getting like dash timing from screen transitions down. Because you don't keep the dash through transitions, you actually have to re-dash afterwards. Right. So obviously it's better to do that optimally.
Yeah, it's really cool how as you play through this game as a speedrun, you start to like add in more of the skills as the run goes on. You start with walking-based optimizations, then you start adding in more difficult strats, then dash-based movement comes in, and it just sort of scales up nice and linearly for a while. Until the mid-game, at least. There's not a lot of RNG factors in this dungeon. Again, the ones that there are shouldn't cost more than a second. Probably less anyway. And can be mitigated somewhat if you know how to handle them. Like they both got bad cannonball RNG. That'll cost them each about half a second.
It's probably a little more than that.
Yeah, it's an extra dash charge and they have to stop for a minute or for a moment. But they both got it, so no harm, no foul. Yeah. Alright, they're both low on rupees. Nicholas opted to pick up a rupee pot in the Circle of Pots room. That's an optional 5 if you're low. I don't think too many people really go for that. It looks like Blunt went for it too. Although he didn't get the rupee. Yeah. It should still be there. He should be able to dash through it on the way out, I think. Yeah.
Alright, he got it.
They're still a little bit short, but worst case, they'll have to grab an extra rupee from the first tree, which we'll talk about tree rupees when that comes.
It's not too slow to get a third one there anyways.
No, it's not too bad.
So yeah, the spin speed that you just saw Nicholas do is probably the riskiest spin speed in the entire game. If you mess up your buffer or go too far down or right, you jump off the ledge and you have to, redo half of the first part of the dungeon.
Yeah, when you're in that glitch state, if you touch a ledge, even for one frame, you jump off of it.
And it saves 30 frames or something like that?
Probably
maybe a little
30
bit
frames more time.
But
I think TASD can be at like 50.
Pretty much the name of this game is save frames, lose seconds or minutes. It's pretty great.
Minutes, yeah. Alright, they're coming into this boss, Lan Molas. Alright, their first spawns, the location and timing of the jumps is going to be consistent, but the direction they jump and every spawn afterwards is totally random.
How long they're in the air.
Yeah. They have 16 HP, arrows do 4 damage, sword does 2.
And the spin attacks do 2 as well.
Yeah, spin attacks, pokes, and slashes with a sword all do the same amount of damage with the fighter sword against light world bosses. All right, looked like a decent fight from Nicholas.
And obviously you want to leave this fight with as many arrows as possible without sacrificing fight efficiency. So leaving with 16 is...
That's really good.
Really good.
Yeah, that's very good.
I'm back.
Welcome back.
I'd like to announce that I'm hashtag eating a sandwich.
Nice.
That's all. Continue.
Oh, all right. We just got a nice little donation here. We have $300 from LV Creed. Just doing my small contribution. Thanks for allowing me to take part in JRTA, and good luck with the rest of the marathon. 100 to the MM10 bonus stages and 200 for Oxmade Cam.
Wow. Thank you very much, LV Creed.
That puts Oxmade Cam at $606, so we need less than $400 to get that mint.
Nice.
Yeah, just to point out quickly, their Roko-chan race was all over the place. I mean, it was back and forth. There were lead changes. It was really interesting to watch, and LV Creed killed it. So that was exciting to watch, and thanks again for not only participating, but donating as well.
That also leaves $95 for the Mega Man 10 special stages race after the any percent race.
Don't mind me, I'm just swimming without flippers.
Oh, yeah. You may have noticed that these guys swam without actually having the flippers in their inventory. That's another overworld glitch, another one that requires the Japanese 1.0 version. And that's performed by jumping into the water 1 or 2 pixels away from the screen transition. And then jumping into the water so that you can transition the screen 1 frame later. Which can happen 1 or 2 frames from the transition. What happens is the game doesn't actually check if you have flippers on the first frame, but lets you move for 1 frame when you first jump into the water. And then after a screen transition, it doesn't check if you have flippers, it just assumes that you do, if you're already in the water. So you actually trick the game into never checking if you have flippers, and just swimming without them. Here on Death Mountain has some potentially pretty bad RNG. The boulders and the squirrels can both be very bad. Looks like it wasn't too bad for either of them. They both lost 1 heart. I think they just got hit by a boulder, but didn't get blocked or anything. They also used the super speed glitch here. This is one of the longest sections to use it. So it's one of the most efficient.
Like 5 to 6 seconds or something like that over dashing. Yeah, it's something ridiculous like that.
It also helps to dodge boulders. When you're dashing, you're forced to move in a straight line, and you also have to stand still for half a second to charge the dash. And when you use super speed, you can actually more dynamically dodge obstacles. Alright, this tile room is basically an auto-scroller, as they say, which means the timing on it is pretty much exactly the same. The strat they both did, and actually got first try both of them, it's called a boom dash. I think that's the first item dash they do. It's another 1.0 exclusive glitch where you can use an item while dashing, and with the boomerang you can throw it in a different direction than you dash. And by doing so, they can get on the opposite side of those pegs before they go up while the tile room's still going, which allows them to do the next room slightly more efficiently, which saves a little under a second and gives them time to rest and, recuperate, I guess.
Also, stopping on the pegs gives you invulnerability frames, so you don't even have to attack the tiles. You can just chill out even more.
Yeah. It's very relaxing to do that glitch properly. Again, it's a small time save, and if you mess it up, you hit the switch, which delays game time for a couple frames. You can actually lose time by going for it. But they both got it first try, so they both saved a couple frames there.
There
or like
is
a third of a second.
There is a faster strat where you kill a tile early with a pot, but it relies on some weird frame rule that no one really fully understands.
No, except maybe ACM.
Yeah.
Right. This is the first bomb jump of the game here, which is an abuse of the knockback mechanic of the bomb to get over this pit. If you're standing within 2 frames of this pit and you set the bomb, it'll boost you over. However, if you happen to be recoiling from dashing into a wall, then the pixel range is expanded to 6 pixels away from the pit. and the bomb will boost you over. So that's what both of them did. Gives you a very nice range there.
Yeah, 6 pixels is a lot to work with.
Yeah.
And so Moldorm looks like a pretty RNG heavy boss with his movement, but his movement is moderately...
Ooh.
Yeah, it was close. It's not entirely random. The directions are random, but after a certain amount of time, he will always home in on where Link's sprite is. So
Right.
You can work around that pretty easily.
Yeah.
I nearly got
After you
wrecked.
fight him a few thousand times.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
Falling off the ledge is obviously a small time loss, but falling down that middle hole drops you down 2 floors, and that's a little bit bigger of a time loss.
Yeah, especially if it happens late in the fight.
But no harm, no foul. They both fought him without falling off.
Right? Looks like Blunt's going for the super speed after Hera.
All right,
Almost
so
got
here,
squirrel blocked.
here is where we can talk about tree rupees. Basically, there's a couple objects in this game that you can pull and have rupees come out of them. And the way the game determines what rupees come out is enemies killed and damage taken. So they manipulate, like, pretty much no matter what, blue rupees are going to come out of that because more than 4 enemies were killed and you've taken damage by now, intentionally.
Right, yeah.
So blue rupees come out. And so now, before they get to the next tree, they're going to kill 4 enemies and not take damage to get red rupees to come out.
Right. If you're short on rupees, we said you need 14 coming into this. If you're short, you can grab a couple extras from the first tree. But the plan is to grab 2 of the blue rupees from the first tree and all 4 red rupees from the second tree for a total of 90. Plus 14 makes 104. And then there's 6 rupees in Aghanim's Tower that are basically free because you pick up the pots to use as weapons anyway, which totals 110, which is how many you need for Kiki to get into the first Dark World dungeon, the Palace of Darkness.
All right, we got a $10 donation from Invader Dez. Just wanted to contribute a little to the goal. Hashtag eating a burrito.
Nice.
Thank you, Invader Dez. If you want to put that $10 towards any specific goal, you can just post something in Twitch chat or send a whisper to JRTA Marathon, whatever you'd like to do.
You could publicly declare your love for Maid Cam.
that as well. I mean, who doesn't love Maid Cam?
We are only $400 away from Maid Cam. It is very possible that that will happen.
All right, they both did the rupee route successfully. If you happen to take damage by accident, you'll get green rupees from the second tree, and there is a backup, which only costs about 7 or 8 seconds total. It's obviously not something you want to happen, but it's not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, there's another tree you can pull in the Hyrule Castle courtyard.
Yeah.
The old backup before some of us knew that tree was pullable was mirroring to get the Sahasrara rupees before you got to Palace of Darkness, and that was a nice old time loss.
Yeah. All right, there's going to be some struts in this first room here that involve sword beams, so it's nice that they're both entering the dungeon with full hearts. We call this the Pooey strat. It was invented by a guy named Pooey.
Shoutouts to Pui. He's the best Japanese runner by far
Yeah.
of this game. Unfortunately, he could not make it to AGDQ, so we couldn't raise money for him in this marathon.
He's also a very creative player. He's invented a lot of useful strats that people use. Alright, this dungeon, there's not a huge risk of like dying or anything, but there are a lot of opportunities to lose a little bit of time throughout the whole thing. And then of course it concludes with Aghanim, which is pretty much, well, it's the most significant factor of RNG that's outside of your control. Something like Lan Molas can have really bad RNG, but for the most part it is reactionable. With Aghanim, it's totally out of your control. You have to just take what you get. Yeah, pretty much every room here has very, very specific strats that they're doing. It'd be too much to try to explain in detail.
Yeah, this dungeon is one of the hardest to optimize.
Yes, I agree.
Even though it's probably one of the simplest, just because it's mostly just enemy fighting rooms.
Yeah, it's very
those
linear.
are very typical, or very difficult to optimize.
Right. All right, Aghanim could completely change the entire course of this race.
All right, so Aghanim,
I'll let you explain it.
He has 5 attacks per cycle that he does. The first attack is always a guaranteed yellow shot, which are the attacks that you reflect back at him and damage him. And then attacks 2, 3, and 4 have a 50-50 chance to be a yellow shot or a blue ball. The blue balls you can't redirect, and when you hit them, they just separate into 6 little blue balls. And then the 5th attack is a lightning shot that he always does from the top middle of the screen, and then it just redoes the cycle until he's dead, and it takes 6 total shots to kill him. So you could get good luck and get 0 blue balls and kill him, 2 attacks after the second lightning, or the first lightning, or you could get all blue balls and takes 6 cycles to kill, I think. Yeah, 6 cycles.
Something like that, I don't know. But yeah, 15 is the most that you can get without missing any attacks, which should never happen. But the odds of that are astronomically low. And it happened to Andy once.
It happened to me once practicing for a run at last AGDQ, actually. Unfortunately, no video evidence, just some witnesses.
Right.
Okay, average for me.
How many?
3, I guess.
3? Okay, cool.
Yeah, 3 is the most common blue ball outcome.
How many did you get, Blunt?
They
I
both
got 5
3.
energy balls in a row and then 3 blue balls in a row.
Nice, I love that.
Oh, cool. So yeah, each blue ball loses approximately 6 seconds, and each time that you have to have an additional lightning cycle is approximately another 6 seconds, which happens every 4th minus 1 blue ball. So 3, 7, 11, and 15 would have an additional lightning cycle. 3 is average and most common.
And then there's also his movement RNG. He could teleport to the exact same spot he shot his last attack in and have like a half-second transition, or he can move all the way across the screen and have like a 1.5-second transition. So there's a whole bunch of random time loss in this fight that you can just do absolutely nothing about.
Yep.
It's good we both got the same amount.
Yeah, that's nice. All right, they're coming up to Palace of Darkness. They're going to need to pay off a monkey to open this dungeon for them.
So they have to pay 10 rupees to get the monkey to follow you, and then 100 to open the dungeon. And if they get hit after Kiki starts following them, and before they get to the dungeon, they actually have to go back to get Kiki and pay him 10 more rupees. So if that happens to either of them, we'll have to get some rupees.
Right.
So
Luckily, there are a lot of enemies around here that are in the rupee prize pack. So it wouldn't be too hard, hopefully, if they needed to get rupees. But it looks like neither of them are going to need to.
Yeah, they both got really good RNG from the spear throwers.
Yeah, there's like one really bad RNG, and everything else is pretty much the same. As far as how you execute it, anyway. Alright, this dungeon has the second bomb jump of the run. The one that is probably the most difficult.
I'd say it's definitely the most difficult.
Yeah. The only reason you would find any other one more difficult is if is the fact that this one is commonly done with movement buffers, but the other ones are not. So if you choose to use maximum buffers for this one and none for the others, then you may have a little more trouble with the Ice Palace one, but
And this bomb jump is probably the most significant change to a dungeon route in the last 2.5 years. or the only really significant dungeon route change.
Yeah, the Ice Palace bomb jump has been around forever.
And this was found by Yuzuhara, a well-known Link to the Past Japanese tasser.
Yep.
Who's basically found everything significant in this game in the last 3 years.
Yeah, he's my hero. Alright, the route through most of this dungeon is pretty straightforward. Just collect some keys and go through it. Alright, Nicholas is coming up on this bomb jump. This is double pixel perfect, meaning you have to set the bomb on a particular Y pixel and then position Link on a particular Y pixel to get boosted across properly.
Which isn't normally that bad, but the bridge falls after a certain amount of time, so you actually are under a time constraint.
Yeah.
You can't take too long to line up the pixel or your fall.
Right. They're doing a double bomb jump, which means that they're going to throw one bomb across the pit to open the wall before they position themselves, which will save them a little bit of time, but makes it a little more difficult. Both were pretty good, though. A couple extra buffers for Blunt, I believe, compared to Nicholas.
And that is doable on any Link to the Past version. You don't need Japanese 1.0 to do it.
Right, and I believe it works on the Game Boy Advance version too, but the pixels are slightly different.
Yeah, the pixels are offset like one Y
Right.
pixel for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But don't
All
play
right.
that version, it's bad. So
Ooh.
coming up is a Mimic Room. Mimic Rooms tend to be some of the harder rooms to optimize in terms of optimal killing strategies.
I didn't get sexy statue. I hate
Oh,
myself.
don't worry, Blunt didn't either.
Josh would be disappointed in both of you.
Just a reminder, too, we have about $400 to go on the Maid Cam incentive. And if you donate $10 or more during this game, you'll be entered to win a Japanese copy of Link to the Past version 1.0. So if you're considering speedrunning it anyway, you can take care of that as well.
Oh, the Turtle Room coming up is a notorious room for causing trouble for players. There's a couple main strats most people do. One, they both did it. They both got good RNG and executed it successfully. It looks really clean when it goes well. There's actually not a lot of RNG patterns that can cause a problem, depending on how well you execute it, partly. But unfortunately, we didn't get to see what bad RNG looks like there. Alright, this is Helmasaur. He's a pretty easy boss for the most part. The fact that they got the Sanctuary Heart is actually relevant here, since his attacks do 2 hearts of damage. The fact that they have 7 instead of 6 means that they could take 1 additional hit from him before dying, which could be significant. The first phase, you just hammer his mask until it breaks. The second phase, optimally, you can hammer his forehead by using the sword to sort of line you up. And also holding the sword out increases your the hitbox of the hammer, so it makes it possible to hit him in the forehead, but it's pretty hard. Looks like Nicholas had a very clean fight. Blunt had a little trouble with hammering, so he went for the slashes, which takes a little longer since it takes 2 slashes to equal the same damage as the hammer. But it's a nice, safe way to kill him.
Yeah, holding the sword out also. Yeah, some would call Helmasaur the best linebacker in the NFL. But yeah, keeping your sword out also keeps Link facing upwards so that you don't have to, whenever you use the hammer, if you hit something, or if you hit Helmasaur, he recoils you backwards and turns you around.
Yeah. It also gives you protection. If he charges you with your sword out, he'll just knock you back instead of hurting you. So some players like it for that safety option as well. Helmasaur is a boss that I know gives a lot of new players trouble. For one thing, because his RNG can be really bad, but also because it's the last boss before the typical time to pick up safeties when you're a new player. So it's like the last difficult thing before you can get your powder and a bottle and net if you choose to get that, which of course neither of these players are going to be doing. They're well beyond that point.
I mean, they haven't been rolling deep this entire run. Why stop now?
That would be too crazy. You're going to pick up the flute here, which, along with the boots, is an item that you pick up just to make you go faster, basically. It gives you shortcuts. Part of the reason they're actually going from Dungeon 1 in the Dark World to Dungeon 4, and there's a couple reasons to do that. It's actually surprisingly convenient. For one thing, the movement on the overworld is surprisingly natural to do that. The only dungeon that would be closer is the second dungeon, but in order to do that, you'd have to already have the flippers, and there's no convenient way to get rupees or to even get to the flippers before this point. So you'll see the movement on the overworld is actually surprisingly natural. From 1 to 4 to 3, and then they'll start using the flute to quick travel around. Another reason is because the item that you get in the 4th dungeon allows you to get the stronger sword, and getting the stronger sword as soon as possible speeds up boss fights and generally makes the game easier. So it's a speed thing and a convenience thing.
All right, we have a $10 donation from Refus going to MaidCam. Thank you very much for your donation. Still a little less than $400 left for that to get met.
Yeah, we are inching closer to MaidCam. We need a little under 380 now, actually.
So keep them coming.
And thanks to everybody who's donated. I'm going to give you a little incentive to donate next, because the next donor is donor number 100.
Ooh.
So
Triple digits.
if you like being, if you find numbers to be important, you could be donor number 100.
You can be the milestone.
You can make a milestone donation on the milestone.
Also, if you're new to the stream, this is a JRTA2 marathon, a weekend-long speedrunning marathon that we've organized to help get 2 Japanese runners to Awesome Games Done Quick in January. Ohon and Beckord.
And just so you know, as far as their actual AGDQ plans are concerned, Beckord is planning to run Gimmick, which is a very difficult platformer to run in a marathon. Extremely entertaining to watch. He's also on the waitlist to run a Wario Land game, Wario Land 3, so that might make it in the marathon as well. And then Ohon is set to run Castlevania 3 and Mega Man 6, and he's on the waitlist for Mega Man 5 as well.
All right, this dungeon is it's mostly pretty simple, and then there's a couple rooms that are really bad, like the Hellway where Nicholas is right now, can potentially give you really bad RNG. There's a strat to do it very quickly and easily. We call it the God Pixel because it's a pixel perfect dash. But even if you get the God Pixel, there's a chance that the RNG won't be in your favor. So you have to do a frame perfect, pixel perfect dash and get good RNG to get the God dash. Which neither of them did. Neither of them got the God Pixel, but neither of them had the good RNG anyway. So they may have overshot the dash on purpose if they had recognized that they had bad RNG, which is what they should have done.
Yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah, since the dash moves at a consistent 4 pixels per frame, if you don't move out of the doorway and dash, as long as you stop on the correct frame, you can stop on that pixel every single time without fail.
Yeah.
Luckily, it's not as random as the walking animation alternating.
Yeah, for sure.
In speed per frame.
Yeah, so these enemies in this dungeon actually hit pretty hard. 2 hearts per hit with a lot of RNG to their movement. If you make small mistakes, you can get hurt pretty bad. Neither of them have so far in the dungeon. Nicholas took a little damage on the overworld. This isn't a dungeon where having full hearts going in is really important for sword beams, like it would be for Aghanim's Tower or for Misery Mire later. But just having a lot of hearts is nice on the off chance that things go wrong and you can potentially get yourself killed.
We have a $10 donation from Boar. Maids for all, LTTP cart for me. Thank you very much, Boar, for the donation. Yeah, this boss is actually a boss that I like to not have sword beams for. With blinds, unlike other bosses, it only takes 3 hits per phase to get the next head to come up. There's not actually any like health points. It's just the number of hits. So 3 hits of anything on blind that hurts her will actually do the same amount of damage.
Yeah, it's weird like that. This boss probably has the highest difference in difficulty between a casual playthrough and a speedrun. It's probably one of the hardest casually because it seems so random and hectic, but it's actually completely scripted. And if you hit him the exact same way every time, then the fight will play out the same every time. So it becomes very easy when you practice it a lot.
Yeah, the heads spin the same areas. The heads spin in the same directions. So all the fireballs they shoot go in the same direction for the most part. The 5th fireball that all the heads shoot is actually locked in on your current position.
Right.
But yeah, it's fairly easy once you know how to do it well.
Yep. Looks like Nick had a good fight. Blunt had a good fight up to the 3rd phase where he missed one of the slashes. So it took him a couple extra seconds to clean it up, but it was still just fine.
Yeah, messing up this fight is one of the more costly ones in terms of trying to figure out what to do as a backup. Because
it becomes just like the casual playthrough that I mentioned before. It feels random and hectic.
If you mess it up, you have no idea whether blind is going to stop and go down to the bottom wall or whether a laser is going to come out of her face or...
They're going to grab the rupees in Kakariko Town, in Dark World Kakariko. Another reason why this route is so convenient, since they need these for the flippers anyway. They just happen to be right in the way. 2 300 rupee chests for 600 total. They only need 500, but it's not like they can only take 200 from a chest or something. And they're also going to grab the Tempered Sword by rescuing this fuck and bringing him to his partner.
I just want to point out, too, we did get our 100th donation. Would you like to tell us who it was?
Crew. It was my man, Mr. Bordethley.
He donated $10, and the comment says, "Maids for all, link to the past cart for me." So good luck. Again, yeah, if you donate $10 or more during this run, you'll be entered to win a Japanese copy of A Link to the Past, Kamigami no Triforce. And it is the 1.0 version of the game. And that was courtesy of Yggdrasil.
And there haven't been that many people that have donated $10 or more yet, so you don't have that many people to fight off.
Did I read your donation twice, Bor? It's because I love you that much. I just wanted people to know. I mean, you're number 100, so...
The dungeon they're coming up to now is called Skull Woods. It features the next bomb jump and a boss which can go good or bad. It's not a very hard boss in my opinion, though it gives the new players a lot of trouble.
It's mostly just coded poorly.
Yeah, that has more to do with the problems that people have than the actual difficulty of the fight.
All right, we have a $21.48 donation from MJK1984. It says, "For the maid cam." That puts maid cam less than $350 away. We need $343 more dollars. So we're getting close, everybody.
It is very possible that we'll meet maid cam thanks to your donations.
See, so you have the rest of this run, Sparkster, which is coming up next, and then Perfect Stride, which is after that, before SMRPG. So you got like an hour and 45 minutes to 2 hours, maybe.
And just to put it another way, since you can enter to win this cartridge anyway if you donate $10, let's see, I gotta do my math here, I'll get it wrong. If 35 of you really want to win A Link to the Past cartridge, donate $10 now, and we'll get maid cam taken care of too.
Speaking of, we have a $10 donation from Zetonegi. that has some Japanese characters, Oxwas, and then a happy face. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it says made.
Nice.
Wants the Oxwas made.
So yeah, this dungeon, Skullwoods, is probably one of the more confusing dungeons, just because there's so many different parts to it.
Yeah.
And there's a whole bunch of keys in this dungeon that lead to unlock doors that just give you another key. So they're 100% pointless.
Or loop you around to a room you've already been in.
And then close the door behind you, so you have to go back around. It's pretty great.
Yeah, but it's actually a very short dungeon if you do it linearly. If you go straight to the exit.
Yeah, that room that Blunt just finished is the mummy hellway, as we like to call it.
Yeah, it has some really cool strats. I like that room for that reason. It requires some pretty nice, precise movements and actions to do cleanly.
All right, so this Mothula fight. With the Tempered Sword, it only takes 4 hits to kill Mothula compared to the 8 with the Master Sword. The only thing about this fight is that if you slash an enemy into spikes, the spike damage overwrites the sword damage, and Mothula is programmed to take 0 damage from spikes. So anytime you slash Mothula into a spike, it actually takes no damage.
Right.
So if Mothula grinds the top wall, you kind of just have to slash to reset its movement animation and hope that it doesn't stay on the top wall.
Right. There are strats you can do to deal with that, like the poke dash, which can be kind of hard, especially if the floor, since the floor moves, if it moves in a bad direction, that can cause problems. Looks like neither fight was perfect. I think Nicholas had a little more trouble. Blunt tried to do the poke dash, but I guess didn't damage him, so it took him a little bit longer. But both were fine. They both survived, and that's the most important thing.
Yeah, an actual in the room before Mothula, where they got the key from the Gibdo, they actually slashed the Gibdo into the spike, because the spike does gold sword damage to Gibdos for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So it only took 2 hits into the spike to kill the Gibdo instead of the normal 4 tempered sword slashes.
Yep. All right, now they're going to go with those flippers. They have to actually go towards the flippers in the Dark World, which is why they started at Link's house and warped the Dark World and then traveled a long distance on the Overworld, instead of fluting to the Witch's Hut, which would be a much shorter distance to the flippers. And the reason they did that is because they have to be in the Dark World to get Quake, the Quake medallion, which they need to access a dungeon later. And then, of course, they can just mirror back to the Light World and get the flippers. The flippers cost 500 rupees and let you swim legitimately. You could access the dungeon that you need to swim to with fake flippers, as they did earlier, but the dungeon that requires swimming inside of it can't be completed with fake flippers. It is possible to get fake flippers in the dungeon, but you won't be able to progress onward. It will be broken. And it would also require fairies. Looks like both people got hit on the overworld, but I think Blunt picked up 2 heart drops along the way, so he's back up to full health. Having full health here is nice. The dungeon they're going into is kind of difficult. Having sword beams when you first go in can help a little bit. The first thing you have to kill can be, it's a jelly which can electrify itself. So with the sword beam you can kill it from range, whereas without you might have to wait for it to stop electrifying itself before you can kill it. So yeah, they're going to go to Ice Palace next, and the reason for that is because the warp, or the whirlpool that they can swim to just outside of Zora's domain, takes them right in front of the dungeon. And you can't use the flute inside of Zora's domain. If you could flute from inside of Zora's domain, it would be faster to do Swamp Palace first, and then Ice Palace. But since they have to leave anyway, going to the whirlpool is very convenient. This dungeon features the last of the bomb jumps, the one that saves the most significant amount of time by a pretty large margin. I think Palace of Darkness is the second most, and that's around 30 seconds, and this one is probably minutes total, and might actually force you to have to do a different dungeon order if you didn't do it, which could lose even more time, because you would need the hook shot or the King of Samaria to finish this dungeon without the bomb jump, or do another bomb jump or hover or something less convenient. Managing your health in this dungeon is important because the boss fight does a crap load of damage. Alright, Nicholas is coming up on the bomb jump. The X position is somewhat precise for placing the bomb, but the Y position is automatic from where you first enter the room, so you don't have to move up or down when you place the bomb. And then you have to move down a specific amount of pixels. There's actually a lot of combinations of pixels that work. There's like 3 X positions and 2 Y positions, and from 2 combinations in X and Y's that you place the bomb on, 2 Y positions work for Link's position instead of 1 or something. There's a lot of combinations, but all you really need is like 1 visual cue. Just set the bomb, move down a specific amount, and you're good to go. Don't even have to think about all those details.
We have a $15 donation from Ivan. It says, please turn Oxwas into a cute maid. I already have a 1.0 card. If I win, redraw it. Thanks, Ivan. Ivan will be running Sparkster, which is after A Link to the Past.
Nicholas is coming up to Cold Stare now. You have to melt Cold Stare's ice first with a fire rod, which takes every single shot. So if you miss a single shot, you can't complete the fight. He's going to go for a quick kill, which requires stun locking Cold Stare into the corner. He tried to do a fancy poke dash strat. He didn't do the quick kill successfully, but it still was okay because he didn't die or anything. See how Blunt does.
That was scary.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
All right. Blunt went for a easier strat and did it successfully.
Noob.
Hey, we survived, man. That's all that matters.
Close race, it seems. It's good.
Yeah, pretty close, yeah. Cold Stare does 4 hearts of damage if he touches you with his puffs. So once they separate and start moving around the room, it can get out of hand very quickly, especially if you're also dodging the ice cubes that are falling from the ceiling. Those only do 2 hearts of damage, but they can still mess you up.
All right, just another update on how we're doing for Maid Cam. We have $682.49 out of 1,000. So we're just a little over $300 to go, thanks to everybody who's been donating. It is very possible with your donations that this can be met.
If 1/3 of you donated $1, it'd be met instantaneously. So not even half of you have to donate,
That's
just
right.
a third.
Alright, now that they have the flippers, they can do Swamp Palace, which is the second dungeon in the Dark World by the intended order, which is why it's pretty easy as far as the potential for things to kill you is very small, but the enemy RNG in this dungeon is probably worse than any other. There's a lot of opportunities for very small things to go wrong throughout the whole dungeon, pretty much every room. And as such, a lot of players develop a not friendly relationship with this dungeon. And then the boss fight in this one probably is the opposite of Blind, in that it's one of the ones that's probably easiest in a casual playthrough. But with the speedrunning strat, it's probably one of the hardest ones in the speedrun.
Don't mind me, that block just vanished.
Oh yeah, you can make blocks disappear. Just press Y and it disappears. No big deal. Alright, that's actually a 1.0 exclusive glitch as well, where if you have the mirror equipped in a location where using the mirror doesn't have a normal function, So in a dungeon, it would normally warp you to the beginning of the dungeon. And of course, in the overworld, it would transfer you from the dark world to the light world. But in an interior location that's not a dungeon, if you use it while pushing a block, it actually makes the block disappear. And I have no idea why.
All right, we got 2 more donations in. We have a $25 donation from Ramses88 that says Oxwas and some Japanese characters. Let me translate those real quick. And then we have a $5.02 donation from Master that says Made. Oh, it just says Made. Why is it different than the one before? Freaking Japanese. Alright, so that's another $30.02 towards Made Cam.
Thank you for that donation.
That puts us at $712.51. So we need less than $300. If you get it up to $900, I'll donate $50, and Milnium said he would donate $50 if he gets to $950. So you really only need $288. That's all you guys need left.
Doesn't look like either of them have gotten knocked around by swamp RNG very much yet. And most of the worst of it has already happened by now. There's a room you have to go through several times with a Jelly, Stalfos, and Fire Snake. Seems to be a popular combination in this dungeon, actually. And a few rooms. But yeah, the RNG can be very problematic. And you're losing half a heart or a heart at a time. When you have 11, it's no big deal. But you're also losing a second or so each time. Looks like Blunt just experienced another 1.0 glitch, one that's not beneficial, where you take damage while falling in a hole. On later versions of the game, that actually does not happen, but on the 1.0 version, it does. So he got hit by a fireball after he had already started falling in the hole.
You can actually get grabbed by a wall master or a floor master, but with that as well, while you're falling in a hole, if you haven't completely fallen down and a floor master grabs you, you still get grabbed even though you're just a little speck in the hole.
Yeah, that can be very annoying.
We also have a $10 donation from Tara. Let's put this towards Made Cam. Loving the marathon, guys. Keep it up. Thank you very much. We're inching closer and closer to that Made Cam goal.
I hate swamp.
It's the same.
A lot of people do.
You don't wanna talk to me about swamp.
Why not?
And he's notorious for his swamps.
Ugh.
Actually, it was just one that got brought up repeatedly.
It's not even just one. That's just the worst one.
Yeah. Oh, also worth mentioning, in a Swamp Palace, there's a couple of opportunities to grab a bomb and a couple of arrow pots. So this is a good time to make sure that your arrow and bomb counts are where you want them to be going forward. You want a minimum of 2 bombs. I'm not sure why Blunt has so many. He has 4. I'm not sure how that happened. Maybe he got a convenient drop somewhere. And I don't know the exact arrows you want, but they're both fine. Alright, coming up on this boss has a very fancy quick kill. It's like it didn't go very well for either of them.
You're kidding me, right? Yeah.
Yo, that's an Andy looking Argus if I've ever seen one.
Yeah. Alright, the idea there is you come into the fight with your sword already drawn because you dash into the room, and then you just hookshot them and kill the puffs with your sword out. Unfortunately, it's not as simple as just using the hookshot. You actually have to perform an item dash, which means hitting A and Y on the same frame while holding down B to get the first kill, to put Link into a particular glitch state. And then every hookshot timing after it has a very tight window of like less than 5 frames, I think. The timing on and the movement also is pretty specific as well. So it's really difficult to do well. Looked like both of them lost the glitch state early in the fight though, and had to resort to a normal fight. But it's still pretty close.
Yeah, this has been close the entire way.
We got $10 from the OK guy with the message 100% is better, Kappa. I can't believe I just said the word Kappa out loud. But thank you for the donation.
Feels like 2012 all over again.
He's also a link to the Pass Runner.
Yeah. He has a pretty good 100% time, actually.
And since he didn't put an incentive, we're putting that to Maid Cam.
Oh yeah, I already did.
Thank you for that.
Oh, the formula has to get changed. Hold on.
Alright, Misery Mire is the dungeon that's coming up next. They're skipping from the 2nd dungeon in the Dark World to the 6th in the intended way. So the difficulty is going to be quite different between them. But before they do that, they're going to collect a couple of items. One item is Ether, the Ether Medallion, which they need to actually access Misery Mire, which also means that they have to go up Death Mountain, which puts them subject to Death Mountain RNG, which can be bad going into Mire because going in with full hearts is very nice. Both of them got hit by a boulder, but Blunt went and took the time to pick up a heart drop from a bush. The bush he slashed, along with a few others in that location, have a chance to drop a heart. So he slashed one, got it first try. And the Ice Rod is going to be necessary for a boss fight coming later. And the reason why having full hearts is important is partly just because having more hearts is better because there's a less risk of dying. But sword beams actually help with a quick strat in the 2nd room of the dungeon. The room is called Mire 2 because it's the 2nd room. And it involves, it's kill all enemies to open a door room with whiz robes, which, cycle on and off as to whether or not they can be hurt. So you want to kill them all in their first cycle or they get a chance to disappear again. Using a combination of sword beams and the fire rod. Nicholas is going to have to use just the fire rod though for the ranged attacks. And Blunt will use a combination of both.
Alright, we got a $35 donation from Enag7. Throw this towards Maid. Here's to making it all the way to the goal. Thank you very much for your donation. That puts us at $767.51.
And
that is $233 away from the goal.
And it is also an important donation because it puts us over the halfway mark of our total for the marathon.
It does.
So,
baby.
Yeah, we are more than halfway to our goal. So thank you to everybody who's been donating and trying to help us get Ohon and Bacord to AGDQ. Thank you all so much.
Okay, something worth noting here is that Nicholas actually had a small lead coming into this dungeon because Blunt had taken the time to pick up that heart drop on the overworld. But because Blunt was able to do a faster strat and do it successfully, he actually gained back the time that he lost picking up that heart, pretty much.
So yes, this dungeon is fairly imperative that you don't take extra damage. One of the keys that we get, you take 3 hearts of damage at the very minimum if you don't mess up movement or anything like that. And the boss fight for Vitreous requires us to take intentional damage as well. So you don't want to be too low and risk either having to take it safe, which is very dangerous, or just dying in general.
Yeah, heart management is probably most important in this dungeon for that reason.
This was the dungeon that made me keep Sanctuary Heart for so long.
I've always liked this dungeon. The one I practiced the most.
Yeah, I really like its movement. It's different to most other dungeons.
Yeah. I also like that it's green.
Sap green.
Are either of them going to do the Spark Gamble?
Looks like no,
Yeah.
DTD isn't. Wow.
No, neither of them did. Blunt did a better strat though if you're going to skip the Spark Gamble. Although Nicholas did get the bad Fire Snake RNG, which means that he can say that he was going to go for it if he got better RNG from the Fire Snake. And just
I was gonna go for it.
yeah. To coming up on the spike key, they have to intentionally take damage here. The Spark Gamble is another place where they have the option to take damage intentionally and do a damage boost. You
To
move
possibly gain frames.
Yeah, you move a slightly shorter distance at the cost of a heart. So there's a lot of opportunities to intentionally take damage in this dungeon. They also both opted to pick up an optional heart pot there, which is barely slower than the fast strat as well. So they're both very good on hearts right now.
The fast strat looks so cool, skipping the anti-fairy though, so
Yeah, it's pretty hard.
it's like inside your leg as you walk up the stairs, no big deal.
Yeah, and there's a risk if you try to go too fast that you'll be on top of the Wizrobe when it spawns, and they do 4 hearts of damage, and that's not a fun gamble.
They're not friendly.
No.
This dungeon is pretty much the first dungeon that introduces 4 heart damage enemies. They're all over the place in Turtle Rock and Ganon's Tower, but it's just the Wizrobes and the slugs in this one.
In that dark room there, Blunt dropped a bomb intentionally. Like, it looked like he just wasted it. And Nicholas ran out naturally. And the reason why they intentionally ran out there was to automatically switch to the fire rod in their menu, which doesn't actually save an entire menu because you'd switch to the bow next anyway, and you could use that to hit the switch. But it shortens the amount of time that you have to spend in the menu when you switch to the bow. You have to move 1 less spot in the menu, which is like 3 frames theoretically, I think. But it is an optimization in this game.
You also have to go a little bit farther out of the door or wait a little bit longer in the room if you shoot it with an arrow than
that's
fire
true.
rod.
A couple more frames. Plus, depending on your threshold of arrows that you have, 1 extra arrow might actually mean that you have to pick up an extra arrow pot, which could account for close to another second.
Alright.
They are
Since
both
we got
good on arrows, though.
Since we got a cutscene here, I'm going to read a bunch of donations that we just got. We got a $50 donation from Straveris supporting our JP runners. I already have a 1.0 card as well, so redraw if I get picked towards Maid Cam. We also have a $10 donation from Keller Roucher. Give me this 1.0 copy, please. Good luck to all the runners. Keep it up. We have a $15.02 donation from Manchester again. Maid Cam is made by a maid, so you can say it's made. Thank you, Mashy, for your donation. Alright, so let me put these into our tracker real quick.
Alright, up next is the Turtle Rock. They got Quake earlier on the way to Flippers, as I mentioned, so that they can open up this dungeon that they're about to access, and they got the Ice Rod before Misery Mire so that they can kill the boss. This dungeon can be quite dangerous. Again, they're crossing Death Mountain, so they have to deal with Death Mountain RNG. This is the segment where you have to interact with the most squirrels, which have the potential to block your movement entirely. Looks like Blunt got blocked. So he's going to opt to despawn that squirrel, or not. Maybe? No, he's not. Looked like he was going to. You can dash so that you move it off screen, it'll despawn, and then when you move back towards it, it'll respawn and it won't be stone anymore. So you get a chance to deal with it again properly. Squirrel blocks can be quite bad. Right at the beginning of this dungeon, they're going to have the option of doing a damage boost strat. They're going to have the option to intentionally take damage to save a handful of seconds in a room with spiky rollers in it. And I believe they'll both do it because that's just the strats that they do. I don't think they're going to... That's not a safety option that they're probably going to take in this case. Rollers do a full 3 hearts of damage, but they should still be fine. Also, I guess I didn't mention in Aghanim's Tower, there's a strat you do in Aghanim's Tower to manipulate drops to pretty much confirm that you're going to get a fairy drop in this dungeon, which makes taking the damage at the beginning a lot less scary, because you're pretty much sure that you're going to get a fairy drop coming up pretty early anyway. The pokies, as we call them, because they look like pokies from Mario, drop from the prize pack, which can drop the fairy, and there Nicholas got it right away. So he's already back up to near full health.
There's still a chance that you won't get it, but you have to be pretty unlucky.
Yeah, you might not get it right away. Like Blunt didn't get it right away. But to not get it at all in the dungeon, oh, I did the math once. It's like 1 in 500 or something. Or maybe even less frequent than that. I'd have to count all the drops, and I don't feel like doing that. But each pokey has a chance to drop three times. With a 50% chance to drop, and the drop always comes from a specific list, and the fairy is second in that list. So with all the pokies that you kill, there's a good chance of getting that fairy drop.
So yeah, the way they manipulate that, the enemies in Aghanim's Tower, if you dash through an enemy in general, it changes its drop rate to 0 no matter what. So if you kill an enemy by dashing, it will never drop anything. Which is an interesting little fact most people don't know about the game.
Yeah. Alright, Blunt got down to a pretty dangerous spot there, but he got his fairy drop, so he's back up now. And they also both got magic drops, which means that they have the option to skip magic before Trinex. I believe they can do that at this point.
Yeah, they can do that with magic to spare. With the magic drop.
This double pokey room has 16 possible patterns. Each pokey, they start spawning in the same place every time, but they each have 4 potential movements. So 16 possible combinations of movements. And you really should learn every single combination. Or just improvise if you like doing that. But I recommend learning every combination. The dungeon item in this dungeon is the mirror shield, but it's far enough out of the way that there's no reason that they would get it. It would be too much of a time loss for the very small amount of safety that it would actually give them. And the one place where it really gives much safety is coming up here. You have to get a key which is protected by an eyeball laser, but they're going to do a strat called the laser skip. First they have to kill the beetle to get it out of the way, and then they dash in at a very specific timing. Nicholas did it just fine. See how well Blunt does.
It's actually a little bit faster to not kill the beetle first and to kill it on your way out, but it requires very tight dash stop timing.
Yeah, you have to have a very, very precise first dash to do that. And with fast movement RNG from the beetle, it's actually barely possible if you get that RNG.
I'd also like to update. Oh my god, I changed tabs. We have $842.53 out of the 1,000 for maid cam, and if we get to 900, I already promised I would donate 50, so that's even more. So 58 more dollars, and we can have this goal met.
Trinex is it's a pretty easy boss. He has 2 heads, one cold, one hot. You use the ice rod and the fire rod on the opposite head, which makes it vulnerable to other damage types. So you hit it with a fire rod or ice rod, then you can slash him, and then hit him again, and slash him again. You knock out the first 2 heads nice and easily, and then you kill the snake phase quickly. What's weird about the snake phase is that when it first spawns, his head is actually vulnerable instead of his middle section. So that allows him to stand in front of it and do a spin, which knocks him back, and the spin will actually hit him twice, and then it's just 1 slash. So they can kill him very quickly because of that weird fact about that boss.
Yeah, once he moves out and down to the left and starts going up the left wall is when the hitbox changes from the head to the flashing middle body section.
Whoa.
Tampa made a good point. Since Blunt has more magic left, he's going to spend less time refilling it at the end here, so he's going to save a handful of frames for that. One less rod shot would be 16 less frames on the refill.
Are you guys sure they're not just playing back the same run here? Because they've been screen for screen the entire time. It is so close. I love this race.
Yeah, this has been a really close race so far.
What we're going to actually find out now is that because of stream delay, you know, like Nick won by 3 minutes or something, you know, it just looks close somehow, you know, using the magic of streaming. But no, these guys have been really close the whole way. And just a reminder, as we're approaching the end of the game here, if you want to donate during this run $10 or more, you'll have a chance to win a Japanese copy of Link to the Past version 1.0, which is always good for speedrunning.
And some donators have opted to redraw because they already have one, so that gives you even more chances than it may seem.
This is the Ganon's Tower. You need to complete all 7 Dark World dungeons to access this without any out-of-bounds glitches. It is the hardest dungeon of the game. I think most people would agree, but also probably the most fun if you're into challenges, which is really nice that the end of the game has the hardest dungeon.
2 hardest dungeons, and then the hardest boss fight.
Yeah, for sure. It's actually really nice.
It's the best way for a speedrun to end.
The exact opposite of RBO.
Yeah.
That's cool, though. I like the relaxing conclusion to
Oh,
RBO.
it's so nice.
But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that can knock you around pretty bad. The first half or so of this dungeon, or at least up to the first boss refight, is pretty consistent, but it gets a lot tougher after that. So yeah, they're gonna do another quick kill on the. They're gonna refight Armos, which was the first boss that they killed. They're gonna do a similar quick kill, which has obviously the same rules. They're gonna damage the one that they intend to kill last. They're gonna damage that one first, so that when they kill it, they only have to hit it once and prevent it from aggroing. The only difference between that and this fight is that it's on ice, so you can't really do the exact same strat, but you can still do a pretty nice, clean, quick kill. Alright, there actually was a little variance between the strats they did there. It may not have been obvious, but Nicholas actually did a faster strat. One thing about the Armos Knights is that they don't actually start moving. Their first cycle, when they line up into the circle, they don't start moving until they get into position. So if you keep the Knights out of position, you can delay the movement of the first cycle. The strat that Nicholas did kept them out of position for a shorter amount of time at the beginning, which started the movement cycle earlier. So once he got to the top and was shooting left to knock him out, the movement started sooner, so it was tighter, but he was able to kill them faster. It's a pretty small difference, and it's barely noticeable.
And these 2 mimic rooms are some of the harder ones to optimize in the game in terms of enemy killing.
Yeah. The first one is harder, or the second one is harder to do to just get through, because once it starts to go wrong, it can go very wrong. But the first one is way harder to optimize. And they're also coming up into the gauntlet, which is noteworthy. It's 5 rooms in a row where the only objective is to kill all the enemies in the room. There's a lot of RNG, there's a lot of stuff that can hurt you. There's BMOS on conveyor belts, ice and spikes all over the place, and it can be very difficult depending on how
it's also
the RNG
very
goes.
easy to take damage.
Yeah, for sure. Luckily, the tempered sword does kill everything in one hit, so you can just use the sword. Some of these rooms can go very poorly if they start to go poorly. Most noteworthy being the last one. Looks like that went well. There was some rough rooms for both of them, but overall fine. They got plenty of hearts still. Is really the most important thing. Now they're refighting Lamolas with a much more powerful weapon than they had the last time, the Fire Rod, which means they can kill them in 2 hits with the Fire Rod instead of with 4 that arrows would normally take, and the sword is actually a worthwhile weapon to use. They both did 2 cycles. You can kill them in 1 cycle. And I know they're probably not happy with 2 cycles, but it's not too bad.
We do have 2 more donations that just came in. $10 from Iris Joker. Put this towards Waggle Cam for Trauma Center's second opinion. Good luck to the runners. And we have another $10 from A Packer. Maid Cam, please. And that 1.0 JP. Thank you both for those donations. That puts Maid Cam at 852 out of 1,000, and that also puts the Waggle Cam at $50 out of 200.
There's actually 3 keys in this dungeon that you only need to pick one between those 3. There's one right at the beginning of the dungeon that seems like the obvious one to pick, and they both skipped it. And that might have seemed silly, but the one in this that they're going to get out of this chest is a little bit faster. There's an even faster one that requires taking damage. So you would take 1 heart of damage for that one, whereas with this strat you actually gain a heart. So there'd be a 2 heart difference for the sake of a very small time gain if they chose to get that one. The Moldorm refight isn't too bad. The battlefield isn't much worse than the original one, and you have the tempered sword so you can kill them a lot faster. Neither of them are opting to hover, which is a strange decision.
Oh my god, I knew it.
I was gonna say something before you got there, but I didn't want to interrupt Scooch.
Alright, Aghanim 2 isn't as bad as Aghanim 1, usually. At least there is some level of skill to the fight. There's still a lot of RNG as a factor, but it's not completely out of your control. You have to hit him 6 times, and there's 3 attacks each cycle. Oh wow. Without that blue ball, Nicholas would have gotten a 2 cycle. So that's an example of RNG preventing that. But a 3 cycle is still very good. But 2 cycle would be perfect, but relies on good RNG and good execution. And it looks like a good fight from Bluntbunny as well.
The average is probably somewhere in between 3 and 4.
Yeah, for me it's probably more like 6. Alright, they're going into the Ganon fight. The Ganon fight is very difficult to optimize. They have a lot of health each, so they should be pretty comfortable doing this fight. There is a factor in here of RNG in the 3rd phase that's out of their control called warps, which could equalize this, or it could give one of them an advantage.
The last time I said I have enough health, I got this. I walked into Ganon and died because he does 8 hearts of body contact damage.
Yeah,
it was pretty great. So yeah, Ganon doesn't mess around. The fire bats all do 4 damage. The ring fire bats do 4 damage, or 4 full hearts of damage. The fire bats he shoots out of his mouth in the 3rd phase and the 3rd and the 4th phase do 2 hearts, and then actual body contact does 8.
Yeah, so Nicholas actually messed up the setup for the first 2 phases and took 2 cycles on the 2nd phase. Yeah,
this is gonna be close.
Yeah. I'm not sure how many warps they've each gotten, but it looks like they're going to the 4th phase at about the exact same time.
Oh my god. It's frame for frame for me.
This is unbelievable.
This is insane.
Ooh. Nicholas saving 1 menu by going for the fire rod for the torch glitch. The torch glitch is not a version exclusive glitch where if you light the first torch before the second one goes out, then the second one will never go out, which helps a lot getting triples. So the idea here is to light the torch and then hit him 3 times before having to light it again. We call those triples, and that would be a perfect fight if you get triples every time. His warp position can make it difficult, and of course it's possible to just mess up and miss a spin here or there. The worst thing is if missing a spin requires you to light the torch an additional time.
It takes 12 spins in total to kill Ganon in the 4th phase.
Ready for time.
Oh baby.
Here we come.
Ooh.
The Nicholas Slayer himself.
Oh wow. Oh man. Wow, that was ridiculously close.
Time.
We got a 126.50 for Bluntbunny.
Bam!
And waiting for it on the video here.
126.55 for me.
I've got,
Good race, man.
Oh wow.
about 10 seconds later for Nick.
That's
It's
crazy.
insane.
Insane.
What was your time, Blunt?
I got a 126.50 on my
Nice. Mine's 126.55 on mine.
Wow.
I missed the one-on-one. I got hit. I hook shot too early.
Yeah, keeping in
I think you were
mind,
slightly ahead.
on stream, Nicholas started a little bit behind, so it was even closer than it looked.
It was crazy. It like lined up perfectly just for fourth phase game.
Yeah.
We said before the race that we both would be happy if we got 2 126s, so it's been a
Nice.
success.
Yeah, that's definitely a very good time.
If you guys would do yourselves a favor when the marathon's over and go back and watch this race, I think
That's
I'm
really
definitely
good.
Yeah, I
doing
was
that,
planning on
yeah.
it.
you'll be surprised. It was unbelievably close.
All right, we do
Got
have.
popped.
Good.
I had one very scary moment in Turtle Rock. I had one heart.
Yeah.
After the chomps. No, after right after chomps, I got hit by the pokey testicle.
You also got hit by a fire bat in Ganon Phase 4, which can be scary because you don't really know what way it's going to knock you.
Seems to always knock you towards the pit.
Yeah. I think it's like whatever direction you're facing, and the opposite of that is the way it knocks you, like no matter where it hits you from. It's really weird.
All right, I don't want to take away from the Link to the Past discussion here because the race was amazing, but I haven't said this all marathon. The donations are flying in here.
Yeah, I just refreshed and saw them. So we have $5 from Syrian. Oxwa's waifu cam, please. We have $10 from Baby Tay Tay. Make him a maid, man. And we have $25 from Rambling Josh. I was gonna wait until SMRPG to donate, but the people need me. Maid cam must happen. So let me put these into my number or into my chart real quick. I need to make more rows. That's always good. That puts us at 892.53. So we're $108 away. Once we hit 900, I'm gonna donate 50 towards Oxwa's maid cam.
Now,
So-
did we include Joka's or did Joka put his towards something else?
Joka.
I got a donation here from Joka. I don't know if you read that one.
Oh, let's refresh. Oh, good race. Have more money from Joka. $50. I did not put that one in because that one wasn't on my thing yet. So,
Yo, play my Mario Maker stage. It keeps showing up on stream. I'm just plugging. It's got to get more plays.
oh man. All right. So with Joka's donation, that makes it $942.53. So hold on. Let me get my e-wallet out real quick.
All right. You do that, and I'm going to get us ready for the next run. So
There's no donate link. I'll just click this.
thanks again, everybody that was involved in Link to the Past there, Blunt, Nicholas, and Super Scooge on commentary.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
having
It was
us.
really fun.
Have a good rest of your weekend. And hopefully
Same, man.
we'll see you in the chat for a couple more runs.
Oh yeah, we'll be there.
Yep.
All right, thanks. Bye, guys.
See you
See
later.
you later.
All right, thanks for having me, guys. I always enjoy doing the commentary.
You did well. It was a lot of fun.
Thanks again, dude.
Yeah, have a good rest of the marathon. I'll
All right.
be around.
Will do. All right, we're going to move you guys to the waiting room here and bring in our next group. Here comes Trouble. We've got Ivan.
Hi.
Oh
And
baby.
we've got Tonic.
Oh baby.
Hello.
Hello, welcome. I need to switch up my mumble settings here. So give me 1 second to do that.